Hi, this is Lindsay Mason with Assignment 5, my revisions to Assignment 4, as well as the answers to the questions. The first question, do the tasks yield appropriate evidence of the identified understandings? And yes, I do believe I was able to see how each of my students understood addition. During whole group, I was able to listen to their turning and talking with their partners about how they were understanding. I was able to see in small group the use of manipulatives to see which parts they are really understanding and if they understood the concept as a whole. And I was also able to see their understanding at the end of the lesson when they got to use the iPads to show me what they had been learning. Do the tasks involve a complex real-world application of the identified knowledge, skill, and understandings? So I would say that I could have used more real-world examples. I didn't use a whole lot, especially when writing the lesson plan. My students love to hear stories, so adding that aspect in, I think, could have really helped solidify the addition concept with some of my struggling students. I did it a lot with simple addition, and I need to continue to do it as we get further along into addition. So this is something I could have done, like, we saw 10 chickens at the farm, and then we saw 3 pigs playing in the mud. How many animals did we see? It might help some of my struggling students still see that while we are adding bigger numbers, it still is one group and another group joining together. Are a variety of appropriate assessment formats used to provide additional evidence of learning? So I used 2 different assessment ideas. With kindergarten, I didn't want to do necessarily a test or a written sort of thing to see what they knew. So the first way I did it was in small group. They had these wipe away things that we have been using, and they were given a number. Each kid had a different number, and they had to walk me through step by step what they were doing and why they were doing it. In addition, so they were able to explain their groups and their numbers and where they came from. The second assessment I used was having the students record themselves on the iPads over here to explain their addition problem. I was able to see which kids really understood based on how they explained what they were doing. Are students given the opportunity to self-assess and reflect upon their learning and performance? Yes, although it's not explicitly said in the lesson, my students had to self-reflect many times when creating their video. Oftentimes what happened is the kids were so excited to get to use the iPads and record and see themselves on the screen that they forgot about the addition problem, and they had to stop and re-record and stop and re-record, and they would get frustrated. So it allowed them time to stop, think about what they were doing, practice a little, think about what they were going to say, and then they were able to explain it on the video. Because in their video, they had to explain it to someone that had never done addition before. So they had to explain it step by step what they were doing, as if they were teaching the concept. One of the better videos they got was a group that stopped. They practiced. They practiced a few times without recording, and then their end product was great. The biggest revisions I would make in my lesson are these. So the first one would be more iPads. We are not one-to-one with iPads at my school, so I think I would either borrow iPads or look for a cart, because I think smaller groups, even kids doing this project individually, would have been a lot better. I would have been able to see each of their individual learning rather than groups, and it also, I feel like, would have been a little less chaotic. With kids, making sure they're sharing the different jobs for the project as well. I also want to make sure I'm using real-world examples when I'm teaching. Like I said before, I did it with simple addition and it helps so much. So I need to keep using those examples to help show kids math is in your everyday life, and here's how we can use it. I also think during the iPad project, I would want students to make up a real-world story about their number to give it that context. I also think it would have helped some of my struggling students make it easier for them to explain their thinking if they had to put, chickens and pigs to it or something of that nature. I also want to have more opportunities for self-reflecting. I don't think it was enough, the kids stopping their videos and thinking about what they were doing. I also would want to include more opportunities for that, whether it be stop and think or write it down or something like that. I also want to have different assessments, maybe more smaller ones, since kindergarten, like I said earlier, I don't do a whole lot of testing. I think maybe smaller informal assessments would have been a great tool.